In What You Have Heard Is True, a memoir of witness and resistance, 2019, poet Carolyn Forché reflects on her time in El Salvador during the late 1970s, a period when the country was on the brink of a brutal civil war. This conflict would stretch over a decade and result in the deaths of tens of thousands, with estimates suggesting 65,000 people were killed or disappeared by El Salvador's military junta, largely due to U.S. support from the Carter and Reagan administrations. Forché visited El Salvador several times between 1978 and 1980 on a Guggenheim Fellowship, and her experiences formed the basis for her highly regarded poetry collection, The Country Between Us, 1981, and later, this memoir. The story begins with Leonel Gómez Vides, who travels from El Salvador to meet Forché, knowing that she has been translating works by his aunt, Nicaraguan Salvadoran writer Claribel Alegría. Vides seeks to recruit Forché as a witness to the unfolding atrocities, hoping she can help relay the truth of the coming war to the United States. As Vides puts it, "You could see quite a bit of the country, I think, and you could learn about the situation, and then you could come back here, and when the war begins, you would be in a position to explain it to the Americans." Forché initially doubts her ability to fulfill this role, thinking a journalist might be better suited to documenting the violence, given how poets are typically regarded in America. However, Vides insists that only a poet's sensibility can capture the complexity of what is unfolding. Vides himself is a figure of contradictions. A revolutionary and activist working for the campesinos, peasant farmers, he is not aligned with either the U.S.-backed military junta or the guerrilla fighters. In fact, he would later play a key role in helping negotiate peace between the two sides in 1992. Intrigued by his offer, and struck by the sense of urgency that seems to be driving him, Forché agrees to travel to El Salvador to learn about the situation. What she witnesses forces her to confront a world of poverty, destruction, and corruption, challenging her initial naivete and deeply shaping the course of her writing and activism. In long, unbroken passages of prose poetry, Forché crafts vivid descriptions, such as, "This is the village. Abandoned, a pitted road stretches between burned shacks in the mud. There is a saint's picture, decorated with foil stars. There is no smoke rising from cook fires, where women would have turned the family's daily tortillas, nor any from the fires that chewed through this village during a search and destroy operation. The people returned here briefly and held orange rinds wrapped in cloth over their mouths as they gathered the dead, listing their names." Her run-on sentences mirror the flow of her thoughts. Overwhelmed by the devastation she witnesses, Forché conveys everything in a breathless, relentless rush. This stylistic choice invites her readers into her disoriented state, creating a sense of urgency and a desire to process, or even block out the horrors she describes, just as she felt at the time. Throughout her time in El Salvador, Forché meets a variety of people: farmers, clergy, militants, and military officers, many of whom are corrupt. Her interviews are not limited to men, and some of her most poignant moments come from the women she encounters, who are deeply involved in the conflict. These include a woman who associates with assassins, a nun on the run, and a doctor committed to aiding the suffering poor. Forché's interactions are not without risk. Most are dangerous, and they raise questions about Vides' motivations. While he needs Forché to bear witness to the atrocities, he also seems to intentionally place her in peril. She narrowly escapes death squads twice, and throughout, Vides repeatedly asks her, "What do you see?" To which Forché responds as faithfully as she can, with pencil on paper. It is through her harrowing experiences in El Salvador that Forché would come to shape her concept of poetry of witness, a type of poetry that avoids propaganda and instead aims to document the horrors of war as fully as possible. Poetry of witness, she believes, allows readers to truly experience the pain of war, in the hope that by understanding it, they might come to heed its warning. This kind of poetry positions itself as a form of social advocacy. In 1992, Forché compiled Against Forgetting, an anthology of war poems that she has described as a symphony of utterance, a living memorial to those who had died and those who survived the horrors of the 20th century. What you have heard is true serves as the essential backdrop for Against Forgetting, offering not only a stark and immediate record of the war's eruption, but also the foundational experiences from which Forché's theory of poetry of witness and its urgent necessity emerged. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.